Hola chicos, hoy hablamos de verbos reflexivos. Verbos reflexivos are verbs where the subject both performs and receives the action. So this is when you do something to yourself or for yourself, or someone does something to or for themselves. Verbos reflexivos have pronouns. This lets us know to whom the action is being done. So when I am doing it to or for myself, the pronoun will be reflective of me. When we conjugate our reflexive verb, we put our pronoun first. Por ejemplo, me levanto. I get myself up, whether from the couch, from bed, etc. We put it first. However, when we are using just the infinitive, because we already have a conjugated verb in our sentence, then the pronoun is attached to our verbo reflexivo. Por ejemplo, voy a levantarme. In this example, voy is already conjugated, so we know the next verb has to be in the infinitive form. And because it's a reflexive verb, we need to know that the action is being done to or for oneself. So therefore, the pronoun is attached to the reflexive verb. These are los pronombres para los verbos reflexivos. For the yo form, me, tú, te, él, ella, usted, se, nosotros, nos, vosotros, vos, ellos, ellas, ustedes, se. Now you'll notice that the él, ella, usted form and ellas, ellos, ustedes forms have the same pronoun, se. This is nice, just makes it easier in that you only have to remember 5 pronouns instead of 6. Also, when you see your reflexive verbs written in the infinitive form, you will also see se attached to the infinitive form. This is to let you know that the verb is reflexive. You don't always have to use it as a reflexive verb, but in the instances where someone is doing it to themselves or for themselves, then you would. So let's look at some examples. Here at the top of this chart, you can see 3 different verbs in the infinitive form with the se attached, meaning that we can use them as reflexive verbs. You'll see that when they're conjugated, your pronoun comes before your conjugated form, and that each of your verbs ends in the root ending that gives them the subject. So we conjugate it out normally, in this case in the present tense, and then we add our pronoun to the front. And if you notice with acostarse, even when we have a stem change, we still need to conjugate the verb with our subject endings, add the stem change, and put your pronoun to the front. So let's look at some examples of this. Okay. So what you just saw was a video of me putting makeup on myself. So it's reflexive. I was doing it to myself. Here is the verb for to put on makeup, maquillarse. Now the first step in the process is to move the pronoun. Because we're conjugating the verb, it's the only verb in our sentence. We're just going to say, I put makeup on myself. So let's move the pronoun to the front of our sentence, se maquillar. The next step is to adjust your pronoun so that it matches who is doing the action. Because I am the one putting makeup on myself, we're going to put the pronoun in the yo form. Now we have me maquillar. So your third step is to conjugate your verb. So we already know that the subject is yo, so we are going to change our AR ending to maquilló. And now we have me maquilló. All right, now you saw me looking in the mirror. We're going to do this in the ella form because you were watching her look at herself. So, first step, we move the pronoun. Se mirar. It comes to the front of the sentence. Again, because we're writing simple sentences right now, short sentences, so we are just going to move the pronoun right to the front. Second step, adjust the pronoun. Now, because we're in the ella form, we are going to keep the se. So we have se mirar. And then finally, in our third step, we conjugate the verb. And we already figured it was in the ella form, as we have se as our pronoun, which becomes se mira. Okay, now what you just saw, could it be mirarse? Well, what was I doing? Was I doing something to or for myself? As in, was I looking at myself? No, I was looking at the TV. Therefore, we're just going to use mirar. It is not a reflexive verb because it is not an action that I am receiving. Although I am doing it, I am looking at the TV, I am not the one receiving the action, meaning I'm not looking at myself. So therefore, we just conjugate the verb as a regular verb. Ella mira la televisión. Okay, in that example, I was washing my hands. Let's try it again with a different subject. So this time, we're going to put it in the tu form. You were washing your hands. So our first step, move the pronoun. Put it in front of your verb. Again, simple sentence, no other verbs we're using. Say lavar. Step 2, adjust the pronoun. We decided the subject is going to be tú, so our pronoun needs to become te. Te lavar las manos. Finally, our third step is to conjugate the verb. And so in the tu form it becomes te lavas las manos. Something I want to point out. Es muy importante. When you are using reflexive verbs and after them you have a noun of some sort, whether it be a body part, as in washing the hands, or whether it be something you are using. I put on the makeup with my makeup. When we are using reflexive verbs, you use the article instead of the possessive adjective. For example, te lavas las manos. We're not saying mis manos. You always use las manos. Another example, me lavo la cara. Instead of saying me lavo mi cara, that's redundant. We don't need to say that. We already know that we're doing it to ourselves, so obviously it's my own face. So we just use la cara. And a third example, nos cepillamos los dientes. We already know we're brushing our teeth, therefore we just use los. Another example. Okay, so you saw me washing a dish. Am I going to use lavarse here? No. I was washing a dish. I wasn't the one receiving the action. I was doing it, but I wasn't receiving it. Remember, for reflexive verbs, you have to both do and receive the action. Therefore, we're just going to use lavar, and we conjugate it normally. Tú lavas el plato. Aquí es la práctica.